Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this leadership webinar on changing customer expectations in this crisis and how do you really respond to them. Now, most businesses today are struggling due to the current pandemic, but it's been a lockdown went on for such a long time, but this cannot go on forever. Businesses have to adjust to the new normal, and for this, it's important to know what all has changed and what all has not, so that we can realign our businesses accordingly. That's why we're doing this webinar, where we are going to discuss one crucial aspect of this entire realignment exercise: how customer expectations have changed and how different types of businesses are responding to them. And to do this, we have a very special guest with us today, and I'm pleased to welcome Mr. K. Ganesh. Mr. Ganesh is a successful serial entrepreneur and promoter of companies in the consumer internet, healthcare, education, and tech space. He is the promoter director for well-known companies like Portia Medical, Housejoy, Homelane, Feed My Bangalore, Big Basket, Fresh Menu, just to name a few. He is an ex-member of the Board of Governors at IIM Calcutta and has worked in the corporate sector, including CEO position at a British Telecom JV. An angel investor in select startups in the internet tech sector, Mr. Ganesh's specialties lie in starting up, raising capital, incubating ventures, scaling, and growing startups. Welcome, Mr. Ganesh, to this webinar.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
And to moderate this discussion with Mr. Ganesh, I am pleased to introduce Mr. Pradeep Gupta, or PG as he is fondly called. PG is the chairman and managing director of the CyberMedia Group. He is a first-generation entrepreneur who, along with his family members, promoted CyberMedia in 1982. A BTech from IIT Delhi and MBA from IIM Calcutta, PG is an industry veteran of 40 years and is highly reputed in the IT industry. He has mentored over 150 startups and was conferred the National Entrepreneurship Award as the Best Mentor by the Government of India. He is also the co-founder of Indian Angel Network and chair of the Alumni Trust, sponsors of Ivy Cap Venture Trust Fund. Now, before I hand it over to PG, I'd like to announce that all the attendees can post their questions as comments in the channels that they've logged in from, which could be either Facebook or YouTube, and we will take them up, for discussion at the end of this session. So please listen to the discussion and keep posting your queries. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to you, PG. Welcome, PG.
Thank you very much, Anil. And thank you very much, Ganesh, for really agreeing to do this.
My pleasure.
That when we had this discussion about today's webinar, and we said, let's do things differently, because, there have been so many webinars in the last 90 days ever since the COVID crisis has begun. And there is similar kind of a talk, similar sort of things that everybody talks about. And therefore, you readily agreed to look at practical solutions. What is it that you should be doing here and now? What are the sort of, interesting situations that people have been faced with, and how they have decided amongst that? And so I'm glad that this is going to be something which is going to be a very, very practical, action-oriented webinar. Ganesh, we both of us go a long time. We of course share the same alma mater, IIM Calcutta. Both of us are distinguished alumni of IIM Calcutta. Both of us share roots from the same ICT industry and so on. So I think there are a number of things which are there. So I'm sure this discussion today is going to be very interesting and exciting. Any opening comments from you, Ganesh?
Yeah, no, pleasure to be here, PG. Thanks. Obviously, when I joined HCL from IIM Calcutta, you had worked in HCL from IIM Calcutta and left to start your own business. The decades before entrepreneurship, venture capital, and all that became popular. So you're a role model for all of us people leaving, highly qualified people leaving jobs to start and bootstrap businesses. That's what you did there, like it. So following up your path, pleasure to be here always.
Wonderful. So, as we said, we'll keep it focused, we'll keep it practical, okay? So let me start off by saying that, people have been talking about what happened because of the crisis. People have been talking about the new normal. People have been talking about work at home. People are talking about technology being the centerpiece, etc., etc. What, as per you, are the 5 key things that a business, especially let's say a small and medium business, should be looking at today?
Okay, I don't know whether I can talk about 5, but the single most important thing that comes to mind obviously is survival, right? Am I going to be able to survive this once in a century, uh, unpredicted, unforeseen pandemic, to use cliche words? But this clearly is something which we are not prepared for, and which is perfectly fine, because you don't prepare for something that happens once in a century. You cannot be wearing mask for entire century for once in a century event that a pandemic will come. So you go around in mask. So it's not it's not surprising that we are not prepared for it. But having said that, once it has happened, can I survive? Because if you are able to survive and come out of this, when normality returns, whatever is the new normal, then you are successful. I think the first thing in mind is this. Obviously, there are companies, startups, SMEs, even established corporates uh, of various things are at various precarious situations or positions where they have to face this particular crisis. Let's take simplest example of companies which have very little runway, very little cash, but are burning money. They need to address it in a different manner to survive. There are other companies which are in the space which have been directly impacted, whether it is cruise lines, whether it is travel industry, directly impacted by this particular thing, so that we are not able to survive. There are other companies which are not directly badly impacted because of headwinds, but because of lockdown, because people cannot move, there are challenges that they are not able to operate that way to do that stuff. Right? So you have that challenge. And you have companies which are actually losing money, which cannot sustain. Companies that are in the middle of raising money, raising capital, okay, which are not able to raise their capital funding. So depending on each of the situation, the things are different. There are other companies which have got large amount of cash, publicly listed. They are facing temporary 3 months, 4 months suspension. It is very similar to what we talk in our own personal life. People like you and me, who have cash, who have savings, who have capital, we don't have to worry about feeding our family or meeting daily expenses for the next 12 months. On the other extreme, you have a daily wage laborer who has to go out every day to earn the money, whose savings may be enough to keep the kitchens burning for say 1 week or 2 weeks, but they don't have any other savings to be able to do to be able to survive. Very similar situation in companies. So that is the first aspect. Survive. Second aspect is, how has the business model changed? How has the business that we are operating in changed because of change in consumer behavior? To me, that is the single biggest impact, because whether we like it or not, consumer behavior is permanently got changed. I think for the next one generation, it got changed. Whether you call it the way we look at sanitization, whether we look at social distancing, the way we look at how to build immunity, all of that has completely changed. How people make decisions, whether in their individual lives or they make decisions as corporate managers or corporate employees, the way that has changed. And that has singularly affected business model. In some cases, the product market fit, again to use a cliche, because both of us are from management institutes, and I'm sure a lot of the business are also management. How the product market fit has changed drastically may become irrelevant now. That I think is the most fascinating thing for me and many of us.
That's very, very interesting. So, what you are saying is that, in terms of how companies should react, there can be multiple principles. There is no one stroke that will apply to all. Okay. So you are saying some companies can actually go in for a holding strategy. What are some of the other strategies? Should some companies look at pivoting? Should they do it now? Should they wait for a little while? I mean, what are the different kind of perhaps 3 or 4 different strategies that people can follow today?
Yeah. So one really first thing is, This is a pandemic situation. Uh, this is unforeseen. This is once in a lifetime situation. So you cannot make decisions during a lockdown, during a pandemic situation, during a warlike situation. You cannot make knee-jerk reactions. You cannot make long-term decisions based on that. So first thing to do is that take a deep breath, see if you can handle the lockdown and return to normalcy while keeping your wits about. Okay, right? So principle number one, don't take long-term decision on the basis of emergency current situation. The reason I'm saying that is irrespective of number of webinars, irrespective of number of experts giving Jan, including people like me giving Jan, we really don't know the extent of the problem. We don't know the full impact of the problem. We don't know how long is the problem going to last. And when it ends, what will be the new normal? We really don't know. For the first time in my life, despite all the spreadsheets and macros and management education and all of those, we don't know how to model this and what parameters to put. So, rule number one or lesson number one, don't take long-term decisions based on short-term. But one. Two, having said that, there are certain directional trends which are very clear. Consumer behavior has changed. People's propensity to sit in enclosed spaces, air conditioned environment, spend 2 3 hours, whether it is a pub, whether it's a restaurant, whether it is a closed door event where they do that, or going to a Disney theme park or a water world or an entertainment park, that is not going to happen in the next 1 year, 2 years that easily. There is going to be a huge amount of reluctance. So if you are a company who is in that space, then you have to really, really take a relook at how and what you are going to do. Right? So clearly, that's a second kind of strategy.
Yeah.
Third strategy is if you are if you are in a situation where there is going to be temporary disruption because people are worried about lives, people are worried about safety, right? But at the same time, it's not going to go on forever. There you go into a holding mode. How do I cut my expenses? How do I survive? I don't have to do anything. I don't have to plan any great things. I just have to ensure that my expenses are small enough to be able to do it. It's almost like saying somebody has lost a job, they will find another job in 3 months or 6 months, but till the time they need to see how they can cut their discretionary expenses, postpone expenses that they can, till the time they find another job. That's the third strategy where it is a temporary disruption, but things will come back to normal or almost normal, and they can do that. The fourth category is that can I actually, because of the new change consumer behavior, can I do something different so that I'm able to capitalize and use this particular opportunity? And we will we will hear from one of the company's House Joy uh, founder how a company which is into construction space, which got decimated by this, was able to change into some of the newer spaces that was there. So there are possibilities that are available. Find out new product market fit, if I may use the jargon again, to be able to do that. So finally, last one is of course where you're fortunate to be in a business where COVID has got tailwinds. Okay, right? And because of the tailwinds, you are able to fly faster and do faster. And Big Basket, one of our companies in e-grocery, is one example of that. That suddenly saw 60% increase in business because of COVID. That is fortunate, but unfortunately, not all businesses are like that. We also have a business in healthcare like Portia Medical, where not to the same extent as Big Basket, but there are good tailwinds for
Yeah.
healthcare outside of home. Right, so you will hear from Meena, Ganesh, CEO of that on that. So those are the strategies that is there. But what's very interesting is in almost all cases, consumer behavior has changed. Let me take a couple of examples, like fresh menu.
No,
Or,
just hold on to the consumer behavior because I think that is going to be the next part of our discussion. So essentially, if I was to summarize, you're saying that be very tactical, okay, take short-term decisions right now and take very prudent decisions. Okay. Uh, but you're saying that there is a new customer now. All right. So if there is a new customer, and you talked about tailwind, let's look at an example of how exactly one should be taking advantage of that tailwind.
Yeah. So, I mean, let me take example. I will not take Scotia Medical example because Nina will be coming later and I'm talking about it. But take, for example, a simple thing like cloud kitchen or online food delivery. Right? Swiggy and Zomato was a rage. Similarly, we have companies like Fresh Menu and GrowFit that were a rage where people were ordering online at very attractive prices. Uh, New cuisine which you can't make at home that easily, convenience, delivered within 30 seconds, sorry, 30 minutes, all of those nice things. That's why you saw huge run up to unicorn valuation of Swiggy and Zomato and very high acceptance of cloud kitchens. Now, for a minute, imagine going back in January, February. Who are the people who were buying? What was the consumer behavior? Why were they buying? People who were buying wanted variety, choice in their food that they can get. They wanted immediate delivery. They wanted convenience of within 30 minutes. They wanted great deals. The fact that without delivery charge, very attractive price, you could buy one gulab jamun delivered to your door within 30 minutes was a great proposition and it really took off by storm. Not only here, worldwide. Right? So, what did companies like Swiggy, Zomato, or even Fresh Menu optimize for? We optimize for ensuring that we are able to deliver the moment you
Quick
want it.
delivery.
Quick delivery. That was number one criteria for choice making. You will open my app, you will open some other app, or you will open Swiggy app. You will choose what you like. But if I say the delivery is 45 minutes to 1 hour, you will not buy it. You will go and buy for the next 30 minutes. That is what was available. And also you look at deals, combo deals, special deals, discounts, and all of those stuff. Obviously, given taste has to be good and all that. But the decision making selection of a particular vendor was based on this. Now, come COVID, okay, shift to March, April, okay, same consumer, same offering, same need, but the decision making is completely changed. You're sitting at home, worried about corona, worried about virus, worried about whether the delivery is safe, whether the cooking is safe, kitchen is safe, delivery boy doesn't have COVID, will not pass on. Your criteria has completely changed. At that time, even if I were to offer you free food, you will not take it free because you are actually optimizing or your decision making for safety. No longer is 30 minutes important. You will wait for 45 minutes or 1 hour as long as you know that safety is guaranteed assured. You are not looking for the best deal in town. You don't need deal. You need guarantee of safety. Otherwise, you will not buy. Right? So, what has now happened to the crores of investment people have done in trying to ensure that they have in each hyper-local locality enough delivery boys to deliver you faster. All that has gone a waste. Okay. Now my communication has to be based on safety of procedures that I have. Okay. Immediate delivery is no longer relevant. My entire infrastructure I have created for immediate delivery, which was the key decision making, is completely useless now. Okay. I need to be able to communicate that I'm safe. First point. Second, for aggregator like Swiggy and Zomato, showing you 200 options in Koramangala or in Vasant Vihar or in Gurgaon, okay, is not relevant because you don't want 200 options. You want top 10 options which brands that you can trust to be safe. That's important. Similarly, the delivery boy should be able to deliver you contactless. So suddenly, after investing hundreds of crores, the criteria of consumer decision making has changed. That has created huge pressure for this company. I'll just take one more minute. I'll give a B2C example. Same thing happens in a B2B case. We have a B2B food tech platform called Hunger Box that provides digital cafeteria to corporates. We have clients like IBM, like Cognizant, like TCS, like HCL, etc. Okay, they used to choose Hunger Box because it used to make the payments cashless, reduce the queues in a cafeteria, made it more automated and all that stuff. Very important, very nice, good to have. Now, suddenly that decision making is all that is good, but that's not important. Now, when the offices open, they need to maintain social distancing. They need to ensure that people don't spread the virus. Therefore, automation, digitization is critical now, but for completely different reasons. So that's two examples, both B2B, B2C.
Wonderful examples. I think what you're saying is that the customer is changing, and therefore the customer needs are changing, and therefore businesses need to look at those new needs that the customers have and reorient themselves. So let's look at healthcare. Protea company, which was founded by you and Meena. What are the kind of changes that happened in terms of the customer expectation in healthcare industry?
Yeah, fortunately, I've been able to use my influence to get Meena Ganesh, who runs Portia Medical as the CEO and co-founder, to come and join us. Of course, she knows you well from the similar I am Calcutta
She's
background,
also
but
an alum.
alumnus of IIM Calcutta and distinguished alumnus and on the board, and also been in the IT industry from day one, NIIT to Microsoft, as examples. So I got her here. So if you get her back, you can hear from the horse's mouth rather than hearing it from reflected people like me. Can we
So
get Meena to join
welcome,
us?
Meena.
Hi, thank you, Pradeep and Ganesh. And good to be
Hi,
connected.
Meena. Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah. So Meena,
Okay.
yeah. So
Yeah, go ahead,
PG,
Ganesh.
yeah. So PG and I were discussing about uh, customer expectations, changing customer expectations, and what do companies need to do to be able to address it. And I had also briefly covered about how Big Basket with full tailwinds and Portia with good tailwinds and some headwinds managed to address. So that was the context in which he was talking about healthcare. So thanks for joining. Thanks for joining us. So really, the question for you from PG and me for the audience is: in such situations, how do customer expectations change, and how do companies change their offering, the way they react to be able to uh, handle those and any other challenges that is there? PG, any other questions you have, and Meena, anything else you
No,
want to add?
absolutely. Love to hear what changes you saw in the customer and how did you react to it.
So, a few things, Pradeep. First and foremost, there is a very heightened degree of paranoia, especially amongst the elderly and those with chronic diseases, that they should not step out of the home. They should not go into a facility where they might pick up additional problems which they don't have today. So that with that heightened fear, there's a higher desire to get whatever they can in the comfort of their home and away from any kind of infection. So that is one thing which we are seeing very clearly. And this is not just for simple things like, can I get a doctor consult through teleconsultation, which fine, those things have picked up and so on. But what was really interesting is that doctors, insurance companies, pharma companies have all come in and said, can you do chemotherapy at home? Can you do dialysis at home? Can you infuse various drugs? Can you do some of the port care and stoma care and all of those kind of procedures for which people used to go to clinics or hospitals? Can you do those at home? Because we don't want to expose our patients. The other thing very interesting was that some of the insurance companies have gone ahead and worked along with us to create special solutions for COVID management at home and reimburse that. So they have said that can we put in a whole new infection management solution, which allows us to use somebody like Portia to monitor the patient at home, decide whether they really need a hospitalization or whether they can indeed be treated at home, and insurance will reimburse. So both the individuals as well as the some of the key ecosystem players are seeing that they need to behave differently. It would be very easy for the insurance companies to say, coverage is restricted to hospitals and that's all there is. So you do something at home, which is how they were earlier. But now they're saying that we need to be more customer centric, and if customer wants something at home, then insurance needs to offer a coverage for that at home. So that I'm seeing a very significant change in behavior in that. Other thing which is interesting is that so far, most people, they look at chronic diseases as something that you sort of you live with it. It's okay. Nothing much is going to happen. You're diabetic, fine. We'll come to it. If some problem happens, I'll attend to it. But there was a degree of laissez-faire and comfort to live with it, not worry about it. Now, the common man is saying that if I have a chronic disease, if I have diabetes, if I have any other issues like hypertension or cardiovascular disease, let me make sure I'm taking really good care of myself, because I am the one who would be more at risk with an infection of this nature. The other third thing, of course, is what has happened with because of COVID. There are new solutions also that have got created, which help in supporting patients with COVID. For instance, we are working with multiple governments, helping them manage the mildly symptomatic or completely asymptomatic patients of COVID. That is, they are infected with COVID, but they are not very sick, so they can very well be managed at home. So we've been managing a lot of those patients, around about 25,000 plus patients we have managed at home. Discharged about 20,000 or 22,000 of those have actually been discharged safely. Hardly 600 of the whole 25,000 had to be hospitalized. So less than 3% of hospitalization with a completely remotely managed end-to-end solution. So basically what happened was number of different capabilities that we had, we have sort of repurposed to manage this new pandemic that has come, which is our healthcare capability, our understanding of medical protocols, our uh, call center, our technology platform, which manages a patient's entire end-to-end journey. All of this we have used, and we've repurposed it completely for the COVID infection management. So those
So,
are some examples of things we've changed.
so did you also see a change in the pattern? Lots of people have said that people need a lot of psychological support and so on. So were there new kind of problems that arose? And how did you gear up for those for supporting those type of patients?
So one of the things that we've seen is, especially with the elderly, our so far our value proposition is any medical support that you need, we'll be your single point of contact. We'll have a health manager for you. They'll make sure that whatever health requirement you have, any medical solution you need, we will ensure that that is provided to you. But now what we find is that it is not restricting to just health. They are saying that we are homebound, we can't do many things. Can you at least pull it all together? Can you be my one-stop shop for all that I need at home? So suddenly the basket of offerings that we need to take to them has increased. Of course, we may not actually offer that, but we can put it together but we can still be the people who are the one point contact for all their other requirements as well. So that's one of the examples of what's changed in consumers' expectation.
Wonderful. I think, Meena, thank you very much. I know you have a hard stop at 3:30. Thank you very much for sharing a practical experience of what happened in the healthcare industry. I'm sure that will benefit a whole lot of people that are there. Thanks a lot.
Sure. Thank you
Back.
so much. I'll log out now. Bye.
Uh, so, Ganesh, my next sort of, you talked about conserving cash. But there are some who have actually raised cash during this time. I mean, these are the toughest times. As it is, raising cash is tough. But especially during these times, raising cash is something that people can't even imagine. Okay, so would you like to sort of share something about that experience?
Yeah. So, uh, whenever we have a situation like this, which is unprecedented, a crisis situation, everybody gets on to a conservation mode, and not just conservation mode, it is also a challenge that future is bleak, so they are not bullish. They don't want to open their purse strings and start investing. Typical, even traditional investors start a wait and watch approach, because from their point of view, they are in a situation where they are thinking, can I actually postpone the decision? There is no glory to actually investing now. Let me wait and watch. Nobody likes to catch a falling knife. Therefore, I don't want to invest any amount now. Therefore, they just go on the holding mode. So that's why fundraising, even consummating fundraise process that has started, or closing deals and getting money into account, all of that gets affected very, very drastically when such a thing happens. Okay? So, but obviously we have had multiple cases where the results have been positive. I would like to take this opportunity to invite uh, Venkat on stage. Right? Venkat is welcome. Welcome, Venkat. Venkat is
Thanks, Ganesh.
CEO of
Hi, Venkat.
Prestige
Hi,
Constructions.
Pradeep. Hi.
Venkat is CEO of Prestige Constructions, which is a listed entity into real estate. And obviously, real estate is one of the sectors that got challenged directly when sudden lockdown happened. And but what's more interesting, the reason why I invited Venkat here is to share not real estate experience only, but specifically he uh, started on the second day of the lockdown to raise money for a philanthropic social initiative called Feed My City. It started off as Feed My Bangalore and went on to 5 cities, actually serving fresh meals to 45 lakh people. Right? That involved multiple things, fundraising for one, which has been done at scale by him, um, arranging actual everyday, day after day meals to be cooked, delivered, distributed with all social distancing and hygiene. So I'm going to invite him to share his thoughts on how during such lockdown period he managed to pull off fundraising, getting volunteers together and actually distributing 45 lakh meals in 60-day period. Venkat, over to you.
Thanks, Ganesh.
So Venkat, before you start, I would just like to add an additional thing. You know, your industry, real estate, was very strong headwinds, right? So, what was the for this initiative? What was the motivation? What made you, take a completely different kind of a line and work in this area? Yeah, over to you.
Thanks, Ganesh. Thanks, Pradeep. So, let me start with what was the motivation. Motivation is twofold. One is practical, other is emotional. Now, practically, we employ lot of laborers in our real estate industry. We know what they go through and what are the means of livelihood. Where do they come from? What kind of living standard that we have is something which we see on daily basis. So we have a practical exposure to it. The second, of course, is a very emotional reason when 24th lockdown started. Ganesh, Jaggi, the other co-founder of Freeman City, works with JLL, and I, when we were speaking, uh, some common platform in Bangalore has been most people are where they are today thanks to Bangalore and the people of Bangalore. So we said, isn't it the time to give back to the city, take care of those people who otherwise, on normal circumstances, have been helping us and taking care of us. So that's been the emotional reason. And once people got on ground, we went for a couple of times to distribution, and Ganesh joined multiple times for distribution. Seeing the plight of those people standing in long queues to receive that meal which can fill their stomach itself is heartbreaking. That itself is a driving force enough, motivating factor enough for people to come forward and help these people in need. So two way. One is for the reasons that we wanted to give back to the society, and there was immense need to do that, and that's a emotional connect that all of us had with this cause. We went ahead. And the second, being in the real estate, we had seen the plight of these daily wage workers and migrant laborers. And also, there are a lot of people who came forward to help in their own way, their own bit, providing some people providing sanitizers, some people providing medical reliefs and all of that. So we identified with this cause, saying that when Prime Minister was giving his speech, he mentioned saying that "Jaan hai to jahan hai." That's how he said when the lockdown started. We said we said all these people work and earn on daily basis. First, for that they should be live. We said khana hai to jaan hai to jahan hai. So first there should be food. So with that motto, we spoke on 25th, and whatever little way that we can start is a small initiative in Bangalore. We started very next day. 27th, 25th we spoke, and 27th we were live, and we had no clue about how to go ahead with the whole thing, the approvals, the administration, police, permissions. There again, thanks to Ganesh, his other entity where he's invested, Hunger Box, came in a big way to help, and they had kitchens across the cities. So we tapped into his strength and resources. We made their kitchens open by taking license on administration and started distributing cooked meal. And we were actually given that fact that we come from a corporate background. We were putting up processes in place, kind of playbook in place, the identity, and then how to reach out to people, and all of this process are in place. And 2 days into serving the needs of the people in Bangalore, people from Hyderabad came in. They wanted to start Feed My Hyderabad, their way of paying back to their city. Then we established one chapter consisting of all CXOs, and immediately after Feed My Mumbai got born with people like Neeraj Bhargava, and the Rakesh Maria ex cop, and Kalyan Chakravarti of Piramal CFO, and Edelweiss CEO Ram. So all bunch of corporate CXOs came in, and Mumbai chapter got born, and Noida and Chennai. And soon, from 500 meals a day on 27th of March, within a week's time, we were serving 1 lakh plus meals a day across all cities. When we started, it was too small. 1 lakh meals a day is almost like spending around 28 lakhs of rupees every day. So it, from initiative, it became a big movement. And lockdown also, one scale got increased, the other is lockdown period also got increased. We thought it will end on April 17th, then 2.0, 3.0, and all of that. So there was immense need for raising money. What we realized there is, even if you look at a business scenario, money is always available, but on two factors. One, who is raising money, and at what valuation they are raising money is from business point of view. The credible business organization, I think money was always available at a number. So in fact, just before lockdown in February, we raised, from the company point of view, being a real estate company, we raised around 900 crores of money that was available. When it comes to social sector, what we realized is, again, who is raising money, but the credibility factor was most important. The fact that Ganesh is involved with multiple organizations, building credibility. I've been involved in running a real estate company. In day in and day out, we speak to customers. Our retail shopping malls get almost 65 million square foot of footfalls in a given year. So we are known to people. And of course, my other Feed My City co-founder, Jaggi, all of us were known. So the credibility was not in question. Now the next was the purpose. For what are we raising money? So this was the cause that everybody could identify themselves, connect with the cause, and therefore it's a more about now we reaching out to people and telling what is that we are trying to do, and will their contribution make a difference. That's all we needed to explain. And we had good way of reporting and dashboards and mechanism to reach out to the people and say, this is the crisis, and this is what is happening on ground. This is what we intend to do. We need as little as 30 rupees to feed one stomach, and 120 rupees to feed a family. And in some cases, we gave a ration for the Dabawala's families in Mumbai, as little as 2,500 rupees per 1 month ration, adopt one family. And we made it look small, but in that contribution wise, but the volumes were so big when it comes to retail. As many as 60,000 plus retailers contributed. That's army of people who came forward, volunteers contributed, and thanks to some of the initiatives like Ganesh had a contact, Paytm came on board, and through their app network, it was easy for people to contribute. Most contributions came from there, and of course, 150 plus corporates. Corporates also had their CSR way. They didn't have that logistics arm, the on ground how they can do and all of that. So a lot of corporates, given our profiles, given our credibility, they knew that every rupee that they're giving goes to the needy, and they came in. And I'm very happy to share that given the power of cause and given the people, and the fact everybody showed that the humanity exists, and so many people came forward, and we didn't realize when we started on day one that in 50 days time we'll be able to raise over 15 crores of money as a social startup, and help and
Fantastic.
serve so many people. And this has been our journey in this
Fantastic.
cause, in this lockdown. We were very happy that we were the channel, we were the medium for many people to serve and help the needy, and such a gratifying and humbling experience. And in a nutshell, we keep telling ourselves, saying that we should thank God for this opportunity that we can feed our souls by doing this work.
So now that God gave you this opportunity, now will you just stick to it, or at some stage go back to the real estate business?
No, I
Is
mean,
this is
real
this a
estate
new
business is
normal
always
for you? Is that this is going to be the new normal?
No. So the real estate business always is continuing. I'm speaking from my office now. We started working, and that was, of course, extra effort and time. Initial days, Ganesh will recall, we are putting in almost 10 hours of work only to set up Feed My City and all of that. Everything happened so fast, and the entire system rose up to the occasion to help people. So that is now Feed My City. Still in Mumbai, in some way they are serving, but that was the need of that time. But we will continue to do something or the other to help make a difference on ground to people through the foundation. But our businesses are more or less back. I'm happy to share that even real estate, our residential sales are almost 60-70% of where they used to be before COVID. That's a very heartening thing. In fact, we launched a project yesterday.
Oh, wonderful.
New project.
That's it.
Yeah. So this has been our journey, Pradeep, and of course Ganesh is part of the whole thing. So maybe
Thank
he
you.
can add if I missed something.
No, thank you, Venkat. Thank you for being here. I know you have a hard job, and it's always fascinating. And also publicly, let me thank you for giving the opportunity to be part of Feed My City. It's great.
No. Thank you, Ganesh. We're all in it together, and thank you. Thanks, Pradeep. Thanks, Ganesh.
Thanks, Venkat. So yeah, Ganesh.
So Pradeep, I wanted to just add a couple of things. So even for corporate, even for startups, founders, and others, on this entire bit of running out of cash, money raising, and this, obviously, right now, as things are unraveling and things are changing and evolving, there is a lot of uncertainty, people reluctance to invest. So just hold it out. Okay, right? Unless you are in a very strong tailwind sector, don't try to go and raise money aggressively, because people are very busy with their own problems. If they are not busy with their own problems, they are busy with trying to establish how long, how bad, what will be the new normal. So they don't have the right inputs to take decision on investments. Okay, right? So
Good. But if you look at the national statistics, maximum amount of money has been actually raised in the last 3 months, thanks to what Anil Ambani did.
No, it is just super phenomenal. I mean,
Absolutely
again,
phenomenal. Okay, so now let's talk about the headwind businesses also. One example we just now saw where they pivoted into a completely new, different kind of an opportunity. What about the housing business? Because that was again a business that came under a whole lot of pressure. So, what kind of changing customer expectations there?
Yeah. So those are what I call really collateral damage out of this. They are not really directly affected by it, but because there is a sudden lockdown, you cannot go out. Construction workers cannot move. You cannot do normal. You cannot do anything. Suddenly, lots of people, whether it's a carpenter, plumber, construction worker, gets into this. We have a company called HouseJoy that does daily handyman work and also does construction work, construction projects that got severely affected. I have the founder and CEO Sanchit. If you can have him on stage, he will be able to share directly what do you do when your suddenly business comes to zero and you need to do something. Can we have Sanchit on stage?
No, absolutely. It would be, very interesting to hear your story, Sanchit, because I can tell you my personal experience. My wife said nothing, nobody is going to enter into the house. So all variety of whether if there was something which went wrong with the electrical equipment, we had to actually live without any repair to that particular equipment. So, I think that was the kind of a situation. So how, share us your experience of those
Yeah,
days.
Sanjay, technically both that and construction business, how sudden it came to a sudden zero stop, and what other things you are able to do with some of the resources in contiguous spaces to be able to come out will be a great example to other startups and entrepreneurs and founders and even corporate employees. Go ahead, Sanjay.
And Sanjeev,
Thanks.
your background is so appropriate because you really had your back to the wall.
Yeah.
Yes. So thanks, Ganesh. Thanks, Pradeep, to answer you. This shows the passion of a construction and the industry, right? You everywhere you think about the construction, right? So, Pradeep, so let me answer you. See, yes, this pandemic has given shock to everyone, right? So we are into handyman services as well as the construction services. So what has happened? This has impacted badly to the SPs, the service provider, who is working day-to-day basis. So when this has happened, so as an entrepreneur, I have to take care of that. I cannot stress, I cannot panic, because otherwise I won't be an entrepreneur, right? So I thought, okay, why can't we pivot something which will help my daily worker, my service provider, who are giving day and night to us. So we have even pivoted. We have started a fumigation services, right, which was a need of the hour, and we started using our SPs, day-to-day SPs, who started working with us and started fumigation. We started fumigation with state government, and we started doing a lot of places where the frontline workers are using, like a police stations. Then we have done a lot of quarantine places. So with that, what has happened? Because I understand even the government was preparing that time, because it was a sudden. They were not prepared. They were also looking for something like this. So we started, which has helped my service provider to survive at that particular moment, and we have started doing that kind of thing. Then still we thought that, okay, we have, because we have a surplus people who are working with us, so we also started essential deliveries, right? So we thought, okay, that it's not that to make money out of it, but it is just to engage my SPs, and they should earn their life, right? Because they were also in a panic mode. So this was the immediate changes what I have done in the company when at the time of pandemic and the need of the hour things, which has used. Obviously we have made some money also out of it, and more than us, the our SPs has made money out of it. And when it comes to a construction, and as Pradeep, you said that yes, something electrical is goes wrong, don't allow people inside. So yes, that is to everyone mind, right? Even you, me, my wife, everybody, no, let's not get third party inside the house. So we understand that, and we are doing a lot of changes in terms of, we are keeping a lot of care of our SPs to be fever checked, PP kits, sanitizations, all that, so that all the precautions every day, their document to be maintained, all that. When they do a service from one house, again, we check their temperature, so that end of the day we are taking 100% precautions, and we are trying to send this videos, messages to the client, that how secure they are. Because there's certain thing, like say in your house, right, suddenly there is no electricity, you can't survive, you need something, right? I understand you can postpone your clinic, or you'll try to do of yourself, but there's certain things you need third party intervention. You can't do it of yourself, which is the essential services, right? So we have carefully manage that essential services like electrical, plumbing, which you cannot survive on that. So that we have done very carefully. We manage, in fact we are doing every day. When now we have a process where all our SPs are getting checked, we are giving PPE kit, we have trained them over the social distancing, what level they have to meet, what level they have to talk, all that we have done. And yes, there is I want to also talk something about my construction business, as we all know that individual home construction is a very emotional kind of business, where people are involved more towards their family, everybody, right? And we all know that how the migrant workers things are happening. Everybody want to go back. Customers are getting furious, customers are getting panic, what will happen to their house, whether it will get completed, what. So we are I understand at this level there should be a proactive approach to the customer should know actually ground reality what is happening, and there should be a transparent communication to the client. Because you cannot the labor's mindsets are very different. They are have their own thoughts, they have their own, they don't want to work, they don't want to work. And their mindset is like they follow their friend, relative more, which I and you may not be able to do, because they said, okay, my brother is going, I also want to go back home, I don't want to work, I will work one day, send me back. So these are the ground problems which we are trying to solve. So approach towards the consumer of us, my team right now is very proactive and transparent communication to the customer, and we are trying to explain and make them understood the ground reality of the problem.
But in this business, there are a lot of decisions which are based upon touch and feel, right?
Right.
So, I mean, how do you tackle that kind of a scenario where, a customer actually would like to see what is the material being used, what's the texture, what is the various kind of things which are there. So, if there is a faucet, then, what should be the design, how should it look, and so on. So, how do you take care of the touch and feel kind of
Right.
issues?
So what we have done, Pradeep, is we have our in-house architectural team, and we keep a sample. So recently we have started first time in India, I can say, the construction experience center. Till now you must be listening that you have interior experience center, which a lot of companies, other people are doing it. We have created a construction experience center where you can visit, you can understand the process, you can feel what is the material, not only the faucet, even the bricks, even the jelly, even the steel. You can check, you can measure the dia. So everything, you should touch, feel, and you will tell us, okay, I want this, I want that kind of faucet. So we are keeping all that samples in that our experience center, which is used in construction as well as the finishes, the interiors, both. So both the sides we are having that.
Fantastic. I think, fascinating story of what you have done during these times. Uh, Ganesh, back to you.
Thanks, Nikhil. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
Thanks, Ganesh.
thanks,
Thanks, Pradeep.
thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So
Great to be here.
Ganesh, it's real pleasure. Let's talk about the people issue, because this is something that most SMEs are grappling with today. How do you retrain manpower? How do you restructure the company? What really are the the decisions regarding manpower that need to be taken. Your views on that?
Yeah. So, Pradeep, as you know, I mean, you're very familiar with startups. I'll talk more from a startup.
And by the way, you know, in you've been a educator in the past, Tutor Vista and so on. So of course that was at a different kind of a level, but you understand education very well. So I think I'm sure this retraining and restructuring and these issues, you're most the appropriate person to answer those issues.
So this is really a tough time and tough situation. Okay, right? Unlike where you can talk about companies with some tailwinds and new opportunities and all that stuff. This unfortunately is a tough time because of the drastic changes. The number of people needed in industry will typically go down unless you happen to be in video conferencing industry or in industry which makes sanitizers or masks and all of those stuff. There is a challenge and stress on number of people needed and also in terms of the skills of people needed. Right? So this entire middle management, senior management, entry level people, people who are graduating and who are looking to come into employment in certain sectors which have been affected by headwinds of corona, they all will face a. Unfortunately, that's a reality, right? But the good news is humanity has seen multiple instances of such things happening, whether it is famine, whether it's drought, whether it is wars, whether it is this, even though not in recent times, and people have come out stronger and better. So first is that if you are one of the people getting affected or being this, take a deep breath, smile. This too shall pass. Okay, right? And it has happened in the past. Yeah. As long as you are healthy, as long as you are alive, as long as you have smile in the face, this too shall pass. So that's point number one. Point number two is all the past assumptions, most of them are not valid anymore. There is going to be a new normal. There is need for people, need for employees, need for organizations, new organizations to form, need for more old organizations to change. So all of that exists, which means the need for employment will be there. But the skills required might be different, drastically different, slightly different. Therefore, learning the skills for the next 3 years, next 5 years, next 10 years has become a necessity for anyone, irrespective of how much experience they have got. Now, this can be slightly uncomfortable, scary. It's a new experience for people because we are traditionally used to very linear learning. What is a linear learning? We will do engineering, we'll do medicine, then after that we'll go ahead and do MBA and or do a programming skills or do some skills course and go there. That and then we will regurgitate the same learning over a period of time, learn experience and do that. Okay, right? But that's no longer there. It's also good. It's also good because the slate is clean. It's an open canvas. I can learn, just like Venkat talked about earlier. If at 58 years of age, I can start for the first time in my life a social initiative, get 400 volunteers, raise money from 60,000 individuals. Never done that in the past. And feed 45 lakh people. Okay, I can do it. Anybody could have done it. And what is great about it is that it's a new normal. No past experience is relevant. Therefore, you and I are equal. Or if you were directly to come to your industry, if I'm talking about something drastically different on TikTok type of new media, okay, right? So I can potentially come in. And I don't have to worry about CyberMedia and Pradeep Gupta being a 30-year expert in the industry. How am I going to compete? Because it's a new skill. So that's you know. So the key thing is be extremely alert to what is going to be the need for the future. Be flexible to learn. cannot rest on your laurels. More than any specific domain or skill, the ability to learn a new skill will become critical and important. I'm going to slightly flip the question now back to you. Based on your media industry experience, we have seen a lot of challenges in media in terms of the way print media is going. Okay. Online media and television is good because people are sitting at home and people are hooked onto the mobile. There's a lot of talk about video as the thing. What, what would you do if you are a journalist? What would you do if you are a content creator? More in the old economy media. What would you do? And more direct question. If I'm a 15-year-old print journalist, print journalism is under challenge. Okay. And a 15-year is not as 15-year has got same value to you as a 5-year-old journalist. But I expect double the salary of a 5-year-old journalist. How do I handle this? Give me this as your example that will be applicable for most people.
No, so you're right. As far as media consumptions are concerned, that also in the last 90 days. By the way, sorry to just take a pause for a second. Anil, how much time we have? Let me just ask the organizers. Can we?
Yeah,
Five,
we
10
can
minutes?
continue. Yeah, we can continue for some more time because we have already spent 1 hour, but we can say, maybe another 5-7 minutes.
All right. Okay. So Ganesh, what has happened is that the media consumption in the last 100 days has changed dramatically. With work from home happening, with OTT. I mean, in my house, the bandwidth usage has gone up, somewhere between 10 to 20 times. Because everybody is now watching Netflix and this, that, etc. The consumption patterns have completely changed. And obviously, once the media consumption patterns change, then the money will follow where the customer is. Okay, so the customer also is now looking at different kind of things and so on. And that is why we've also done that same transition, that we said that we must get more into digital. We must do more digital pieces. We should do webinars and so on. And if you look at the webinars that used to be done 3 months back, they were mostly the same physical webinar being just transported into. There would be somebody who will speak for 15 minutes, another person for 15 minutes, and the typical panel discussion kind of a thing. But we are finding that there is need for making it more the TV style of interactive interaction with the audience and so on. So the retraining, therefore, for the journalists also is required in terms of ensuring that they are in tune with this new media pattern which is there, media consumption pattern. Okay, they need to understand more about social media. They need to understand about more of different kind of form factors which are there, what works best in what kind of form factor. So it's a rediscovery as far as our business also is concerned. so you were very right when you said right at the beginning that we all need to understand what the situation is, and therefore we need to make changes in our businesses and so on, based upon more tactical moves to be taken, because it is very difficult to be able to predict a very long-term kind of a situation in each of our businesses. But there are certain changes which are permanent and here to stay. So it is not that when we go back to the new normal, it is not that people will just forget about digital media and so on. That's something which is going to stay. If people are using more OTT, that is there to absolutely stay. Increasingly.
Yeah. So from an potential employee point of view, it's very important for them to realize that There are certain changes. New normal is going to be different, and how to reskill and ensure that they are able to compete, stay relevant in the new normal. Now that is very, very important, because when I did engineering or when you did engineering, engineering was a passport forever for a career engineering. Now there is no such thing that exists. Fortunately, online courses, reskilling courses, lot of resources are available at fraction of a cost. You don't have to leave your job to go and do a full-time MBA or a full-time course. Fortunately, a lot of it is available uh, online and part-time and can be done. But you need to stay on top of the game to be able to cater to your new normal. That again is one, we don't have an answer really, Pradeep, to that. But clearly, whenever the lockdown eases, I don't know whether it's going to be another 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, there will be a gradual easing. And more importantly, there will be a new normal. The skills needed in new normal will be different, and we need to be able to cater to that. Fortunately, I think the younger generation, more than my generation or our generation, is very adept and savvy to be able to learn new things. And that will be the key differentiator between people who are able to handle it very successfully, not just handle it, benefit from it. During my time, and IIM was very useful and was a big, big boost up. Today, still it is useful, but it is not as relevant as the ability to be able to keep learning new stuff.
Absolutely. So do you think that, in the new normal, we are also talking about more such disruptions happening, and therefore the need to future-proof ourselves in terms of ensuring that, there are new skills that we can all learn and we can move into new skills?
Yeah, that's a good question, PG. From the way I look at it is, I don't think we can learn from once in a century pandemic and start implementing it for rest of the century, for one more century to come. I think it'll be too drastic. But certain things are very, very clear. They are quite obvious. I mean, don't just wave your hand under a tap and call it that you have washed your hand. Right? It has got to be 20 seconds. Right? So it's important. That's a new learning. I've never done 58 years of my life. I've never washed like this. Okay, right? Now I learned how to wash. Okay, right? So some of these are learnings which are forever to stay, or even just building immunity. Okay, right? By eating more sensibly, ensuring that you are, if I call it future proofing yourself, you are immunizing yourself by having a stronger constitution than being most susceptible is important. Or even social distancing, trying to, I mean, we rarely had any social distancing. I mean, just look at the way we used to jump out of our seats when a flight lights go off, the way we rush out to run. I don't think that's going to happen. So those are some good learnings. But otherwise, I think more important is to be able to pass this through and get on with handling the new normal and trying to win in the new normal.
Wonderful. Ganesh, thank you very much. I think it's been a very, very interesting discussion. For me personally, the examples that you shared are all practical examples of what companies have done, and I'm sure that the participants of today's webinar would have gained immensely from the real life examples, where your investee companies have done absolutely, fantastic work. So, kudos to you, your team, your various investee companies. It's been a very, very great interaction for me.
Thanks, PG. I really enjoyed it, and I think this is a great format. I must say, of all the webinars that I've done, this is one of the most engaging. And this format that you mentioned about learning the new things, I think this is a new learning of how to conduct something, not a monologue, not a session, not translating an offline talk into an online talk, but actually doing it. I think I also learned a lot. That's a big fan of it. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Over to you, Anil.
Thank you, PG. Thank you, PG. Thank you, Ganesh. This was a really very interesting and very different, as you mentioned, kind of an interaction. I enjoyed listening to it, and I think the audience also enjoyed it. They've been commenting, and PG, you've been taking up some of those comments up for discussion. I'd like to thank you for inviting, your some of the companies, Portia and uh, Venkat and Sanchit. They've been really giving great inputs. So thank you so much for such a wonderful interaction. And thank you, attendees, for sharing your valuable time to join us today. I would just like to request you one thing that there'll be a feedback form that will be put up in the comments of the channel you're logged into. Please do submit your feedback. Please fill up the feedback form, give it to us to help us understand how you found it and help us improve our future webinars. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening. Bye bye.